You know that sick feeling when you wake up to black rifles in your kids' faces because you refuse to paint your mailbox approved beige 47? That was my Tuesday. Lydia Beaumont, president of the Willow Creek HOA, decided my little patch of independence was a threat to civilization itself. What she didn't count on was that the quiet guy she'd spent years trying to destroy had been watching, waiting, and taking notes. It started like any other morning in our slice of suburban Texas hell. I was in the garage, welding a custom gate for a client. The smell of hot metal mixing with fresh coffee from the kitchen where my wife Sophie was flipping pancakes for our boys, ages 7 and 4. Our 8-acre property sat right where the new subdivisions were creeping in like mold, perfect lawns, identical houses, and rules for everything from flag size to the exact shade of your welcome mat. We'd bought the land cheap 5 years ago, before the developers swallowed the area. No HOA. No covenants. Just peace. The crunch of tires on gravel made me kill the torch. A pristine white Range Rover pulled up, and out stepped perfection itself, Lydia Beaumont in a cream linen suit that probably cost more than my truck. Blonde hair sprayed into submission, and a smile so fake it could have been Botoxed on. She looked exactly like the HR director who'd ruined my life 15 years earlier. Mr. Ellis? Noah Ellis? Her voice dripped honey and arsenic. I'm Lydia Beaumont, president of the Willow Creek Homeowners Association. We've been so eager to welcome you properly into the community. I wiped my hands on a rag. Buying time. She hadn't recognized me yet, different last name now. Beard. A few more scars, but I knew those ice blue eyes. Back when I was a young marketing manager. She'd been my boss. I caught her cooking the books and reported it. She responded by accusing me of inappropriate conduct and creating a hostile environment. HR believed her. I was blackballed. Reputation trashed across the industry. I'd rebuilt from nothing. And now here she was, wearing the same perfume that used to make my stomach turn. I kept my tone even. Appreciate the visit, but we're not part of any HOA. Bought the land before your development went in. We're grandfathered out. Her smile didn't flicker, but her eyes sharpened like a predator sighting prey. She pulled out a sleek tablet. Oh, that's a common misunderstanding. Noah. The community has expanded, and for everyone's safety and property values, all adjacent parcels must comply with standards. It's really for the greater good. She launched into her script, safety. Harmony. Think of the children. Every other sentence had the word compliance. I listened, nodding politely, while mentally cataloging every micro-expression. The way her manicured nails tapped the tablet. The way her gaze kept drifting toward the back of my property where the old well and rocky outcrop sat. Sophie came out, hand protectively on her pregnant belly, and gave Lydia the polite southern smile that means I don't trust you as far as I can throw you. Lydia immediately switched to girl talk mode, complimenting the house, asking oddly specific questions about our water source and any unusual ground conditions. Sophie and I exchanged a quick look. Something was very wrong. Before she left, Lydia handed me a thick envelope. You have 48 hours to review the membership agreement and sign. I'm sure you'll make the right choice for your growing family. She paused at her car. Oh. And Section 14C is particularly enlightening. Community safety overrides prior ownership claims. That night Sophie and I read the documents at the kitchen table. It was a masterpiece of bureaucratic terror, daily inspection rights, escalating fines, emergency seizure clauses if fines exceeded $5,000. The kind of legalese that sounds reasonable until you realize it's a trap. The next morning the harassment began. A guy in a fake-looking uniform showed up at 8:01 a.m. Sharp. Routine compliance check for non-members in the expanded zone. He cited my grass, too long. My kid's swing set, unauthorized play structure. And Sophie's vegetable garden, visual pollution. 2 $750 tickets before breakfast. I smiled. Thanked him. And started recording every interaction. By day 4 we were at $3,200 in fines. Neighbors started whispering. I heard the rumors, that Ellis guy is difficult, probably unstable. Didn't you hear what happened at his old job? Lydia had clearly been busy reviving my past. But I stayed calm. I'd learned patience the hard way. While the fines piled up, I was digging. Quietly. Sophie, bless her journalist-trained brain, found the real dirt. The Willow Creek HOA had only existed for 8 months. For properties seized in that time, all on elevated ground with water access. All sold quietly to a shell company tied to lithium mining interests. And right under our feet, geological surveys showed one of the richest lithium deposits in the region, worth tens of millions. Perfect for the EV boom. My ugly rocky 8 acres were sitting on a gold mine. I found fresh core sample holes near the back fence. Someone had been testing my land without permission. The day I photographed them, Lydia appeared at the property line with binoculars. Finding anything interesting? Noah, she called. Voice sweet as poison. I held up my phone. Just some unauthorized drilling. You wouldn't know anything about that. Would you, Miss Beaumont? Her smile tightened. Routine environmental monitoring for community safety. Of course. Speaking of safety, your fines are adding up quickly. It would be so much easier if you simply joined voluntarily. I tilted my head. And if I don't? She stepped closer to the fence. Then the HOA has a duty to protect everyone. Sometimes that requires decisive measures. You remind me of someone I used to know. Stubborn. Thought rules didn't apply to him. It didn't end well. That was the moment I knew she'd recognized me. The escalation turned nasty after that. Daily inspections at dawn. Fines for aesthetic violations that got more creative. Laundry on the line was visual clutter. My welding sparks were a fire hazard. My kids playing outside without approved play equipment was risky behavior. The neighborhood Facebook group filled with anonymous posts about that problematic family on the edge. I kept smiling. Kept recording. Kept building the file. Then came the morning that broke the camel's back. At 6:17 a.m. Tires screeched. Multiple vehicles. I looked out the window and my blood turned to ice. 2 sheriff's cruisers. An unmarked car. And a SWAT van. Officers in full tactical gear poured out. Rifles up. Lydia stepped from the unmarked sedan in a navy blazer with fake federal-looking patches. Holding a clipboard like it was a scepter. Mr. Ellis, the lead officer barked through a bullhorn. We have reports of a non-compliant property owner making threats against community officials and refusing lawful orders. Open the door or we will enter. Sophie pulled the boys close, whispering for them to stay quiet. I opened the door slowly. Hands visible. Lydia pushed forward. Eyes gleaming with triumph. This can all end peacefully. Noah. Just sign the membership agreement. Pay the fines. Join the community like a good neighbor. The SWAT guys shifted. Fingers near triggers. My pregnant wife and terrified kids were in the line of fire. I signed. The pen felt like surrendering. But I knew it was temporary. As she turned to leave, her blazer caught on the doorframe and her purse spilled. Among the lipstick and keys, an old photo slid out, me, 15 years younger. With a red X slashed across my face. On the back. In her handwriting, Phase 1, create pressure. Phase 2, force compliance. Phase 3, seize asset. Phase 4, destroy Noah Ellis. She saw me see it. For the first time. Real panic flashed across her perfectly made-up face. The community emergency meeting was called for that same evening. Lydia planned to present me as a dangerous radical who needed to be removed for everyone's safety. She had slides. Charts. And that same chilling smile. What she didn't expect was half the room turning against her. I stood up when she finished her performance. Before we vote on anything, I think everyone deserves to know who's really running this show. I projected the evidence on the big screen, the core samples. The geological reports showing the lithium. The shell companies. The pattern of seizures across 3 states. Then the old HR file from my previous company, her false accusations. The internal emails proving she'd manufactured the case against me. And this, I said, holding up the photo with the red X, is her actual plan. Not community standards. Personal revenge and a land grab worth millions. The room went dead silent. Then exploded. Lydia's mask shattered. You lying. Bitter little man, she shrieked. Voice cracking from honey to harpy. You've always been a problem. Always thinking you're above the rules. This is why we need order. Her face turned purple. Perfectly styled hair coming loose as she jabbed a finger at me. I built this community. I protect property values. You're nothing but a disruptive element who. A neighbor stood up. You forced me to sell my mother's house last year with the same safety threats. Another added. My cousin lost his place too. Same pattern. Lydia's eyes darted around the room like a cornered animal. The confident queen who'd strutted and was now sweating. Voice rising into that classic Karen register. You're all being manipulated. I'm the one who cares about standards. The sheriff's deputy who'd been quietly observing stepped forward. Ma'am. We're going to need you to come with us. Federal agents are waiting outside. The look on her face when the real FBI walked in, priceless. Pure. Unfiltered panic. Mouth open. Eyes bulging. The carefully cultivated image of suburban royalty collapsing in real time under bright fluorescent lights. 6 months later. Lydia Beaumont, real name still Lydia. But now with a lengthy federal indictment, sat in court facing wire fraud. Extortion. False police reports. And civil rights violations targeting veterans and homeowners. The judge wasn't impressed by her. I was just enforcing rules defense. My property? Safe. The lithium stays ours until we decide what to do. Sophie gave birth to a healthy baby girl we named Grace. The boys still talk about the day the mean lady brought soldiers, but they're healing. The neighborhood formed a real homeowners group, no more fake seizures. No more daily inspections. Turns out when people see the mask slip, they stop fearing the monster. Here's the question I want you to answer honestly in the comments: when someone weaponizes rules, bureaucracy, and even law enforcement to settle a personal grudge and steal what's yours, who's really the dangerous one? The guy quietly minding his own land? Or the smiling Karen who'll call SWAT over grass length? Because in the end, the scariest monsters aren't the ones breaking rules. They're the ones who write them.